Allô, allô, test, test. Allô, allô, test. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, test, test. Allô, allô, 1, 1. 2, 3, test. J'essaye l'autre. Allô, allô, test, test, test. C'est bon? L'autre il marche pas? Lui il marche, non? Lequel? Celui-là ça marche? 1, 2, je parle, je parle, je parle. Et celui-là aussi? 1, 2, 1, 2, je parle. Ok. Et ça marche?
Ça marche. Ça c'est sur Insta.
Ok.
Tu lances Insta peut-être? Plus ou moins, je pense qu'on peut faire un preview avant. D'ailleurs, est-ce que tout le monde rentre? Si tu es là, ça rentre?
Regarde.
Donc on a reculé la caméra, ça devrait rentrer.
Non, ça rentre pas.
Ça rentre pas.
Il faut juste que tu décales un petit peu, je te laisse regarder.
Parfait.
C'est bon? Je mets mon ordinateur ici. Hi. Anne?
Yes, that's me.
Hi, Max. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
How you doing?
I thought it would be the right place for the podcast, but I'm really listening, but I wasn't sure. Good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. So we'll be sitting here.
Sounds
Did you review the questions were okay for you?
Yeah, no problems.
Can I just confirm? So Anne Coetzee.
Yeah, Ane could see. Like I could see
Ane.
the sea or the trees. Yeah, Ane could see.
Anne Coetzee. Youth board member at the Australian Red Cross.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what I'll do is
Or maybe use chair of the Youth Advisory Committee, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
We try and
So-
use that one when we can.
Chair.
Of the National Youth Advisory Committee. At the Australian. If that's all right.
Of course.
We always try and bring the youth network back into the forefront where
The
we
chair of the National Youth Advisory Committee at the Australian Red Cross. Okay,
Who else
perfect.
do you have coming today?
So we have Amin. Amin
oh
Abdul.
my gosh, yes, from the African Youth Network.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
Amin is lovely.
he and you will be the two which will be speaking with us today, and you will have a question on. Let me just put this. Okay. So, what advice would you give to a young person considering volunteering for the first time?
Oh, easy, great.
And then the second question, which I'll ask to both of you, is how do you think volunteering today differs from when you first started? And what changes do you foresee for youth involvement in the future?
Easy, sounds good. And what time will the session formally start?
It should be starting in 1 minute, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. So I will get settled then.
Yes. Hi. Max, nice to meet you.
Me.
Welcome. So, I mean, I was just speaking to Anne. So,
Good to finally meet you.
I mean, can I confirm it's Amin Abdul,
Yes, very correct.
National Youth Chairperson
Yeah,
at the Nigeria Red Cross?
absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So your question will be, what role do you see for youth in shaping the future of humanitarian efforts and community service? What role do you see for youth in shaping the future of humanitarian efforts and community service? It was the first question. And then the last question. What role do you see for youth in shaping the future
Of humanitarian
efforts and community service? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then the last one is, how do you think volunteering today differs from when you first started? And what changes do you foresee for youth involvement in the humanitarian efforts in the future? I'll speak slowly, don't worry. So what I'll do is I'll introduce the topic, I'll introduce yourselves, and then I'll ask the questions, and I'll conclude with a quick conclusion. Is that okay?
Okay, so it's the two of us?
It's just the two of you and me, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll let you guys sit here. Est-ce qu'on teste le micro ou pas?
So good to finally meet you in person after all these online
I
discussions.
saw you in the morning.
Yes, we saw each other quickly, but you were very busy with your youth network, so I thought, oh, I'll catch him later when he has
I
a
was
second.
organizing my people.
I can't even imagine how exhausting it must be for you chairing a whole massive youth network at these kinds of meetings. It's wild.
But how is your campaigns going?
I never know how a campaign goes until the end, but I always feel like I'm not doing enough whenever I campaign.
Of course, you should feel like that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you think you're doing more than enough, and then you slow down.
Yeah, that's really true. That's so true.
True testament of how well you've done is the results.
Yeah.
So I wish you good
That's
luck.
true. Oh, thank you. Thanks for all your support. We still have to see if we can catch up for a coffee sometime.
Yeah, sure.
It'd be so nice to connect. You guys have some excellent candidates as well. I've been getting so many WhatsApp messages from the different ones with their documents. It must be a difficult region when you have so many excellent candidates.
Yeah, it is, and we're having a very difficult time getting them to agree on having specific people go, because I mean we have, like you said, we have very good candidates. And
Moi, j'arrête toujours ce micro et eux, ils se partagent l'autre, c'est ça? Okay. Guys, one more thing. When we'll have only one mic for you guys, so just when I'm asking you, just share the two of you.
Okay. Sounds good. Shall I squeeze in?
oh, I wish we got someone to record with the phone.
Yeah, I think we recorded actually. We can get it later.
Can you ask him?
Let's see.
Okay, we're gonna be live in now.
It's actually this one. So we can also get
Thank you.
looks like I can see you on the screen. I was also looking at an email and going around trying to figure out what it is.
Did you find the centre to get to this morning? We got a bit lost when we were coming in. It's so big.
So we came when the youth commission members called, and it was really a bit of a large team.
Oh, that's nice. Everyone knows where to go. That's a good idea. We are running a little bit late from the Pacific, so we're also jet lagged. Our day and night flips. And so I woke up about 4 a.m. this morning, and half the team did as well.
You arrived this morning?
So we arrived on Saturday, but we just haven't quite been able to flip the jet lag yet. This is the worst thing when you wake up and it's still like 3 hours till breakfast and there's no coffee. I'm trying to find my way. Did you have a safe flight here?
Yeah. It was,
Oh, that's good. How far is it?
it was 7 hours from Nigeria to Paris.
Yeah.
And we had about an hour layover. And from Paris to Paris, just about 10 hours.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's not too bad, but still, that's a very long day.
But how long was it for?
It was about 30 hours,
Did you say
including the time
30
on
or you said 30?
Yeah, 30. Including the
came
time
from
at the
Australia?
airport. Yeah. So
You live in Australia?
yeah, I'm from Sydney. Well, actually, I'm from a very tiny country town with 19,000 people and about 30,000 cows.
19,000 people,
Yeah.
30,000 cows.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know the actual number, but we're a farming community, so there's lots and lots of
So how many cows do you have?
My family sadly owns 0 cows, much to the shame of my grandmother.
Of about 30,000.
Yeah, we had none of the cows.
Then you should. So what are you doing to change that?
Exactly. See? Exactly. So
What are you doing to change that?
Well, I once owned a sheep that my grandfather bought for me, but then my parents wanted a nice Christmas dinner, so they sent it away and I got it back, which I'm still upset about. But now I started living in an apartment, so nowhere for the cow to graze. Maybe I have to do like an adopt a cow or something, like you can adopt a dog.
And you just leave it somewhere.
Yeah.
Nah. It's better when you can. So now you just leave it, focus on other things.
Yeah, and then back to. So when are you staying?
I'm staying at Crown Plaza.
Oh, nice. Yeah, same.
Oh, okay.
Till when?
Till the 1st.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so we'll leave on the same day. Oh, that'll be nice. Lots of time for catch-ups then.
Yeah, sure.
It should be good. So how many of you are here from the African Youth Network? It seems like quite a lot.
We have, yeah, it's a lot of people. We've got like 30 people. No, I'm sorry. About 40 people.
Wow, that's huge. That's really amazing that everyone could make the trip. So from
Not everyone. But yeah, we try to do the most. No.
Yeah.
Some people didn't get visas to travel.
Yeah, I've had a couple of messages from them.
Alright, sorry guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, the visas have been a bit of a trouble.
Okay. Welcome to the 2024 IFRC Youth Forum, a platform where youth delegates come together to engage, learn, and shape the future of humanitarian action. Today, we'll be discussing the power of youth in humanitarian assistance. And I'm thrilled to be joined by 2 incredible guests, Amin Abdul, National Youth Chairperson of the Nigerian Red Cross, and Ane Koetsi, Chair of the National Youth Advisory Committee at the Australian Red Cross. So, today we'll share some insights on the evolving role of youth in humanitarian efforts, advice for first-time volunteers, and how youth involvement has transformed over the years. So let's begin. First, Amin. What role do you see for youth in shaping the future of humanitarian efforts and community service?
For me, I think young people have been the backbones of humanitarian action, and young people have always been the ones who are always at the forefront of responding to humanitarian challenges. So I still see young people taking these positions, but right now I now see young people in the future leading actions, leading policy, and shaping the face, retooling policies that enhance how young people respond to emergencies, how young people respond to humanitarian challenges, and fine-tuning these policies in such a way that other young people across the world are able to effectively give adequate responses when required to these challenges.
Would you be able to give an example?
So basically I'm seeing young people actually taking positions as leaders. So young people leading, so that way they are able to formulate policy and they are able to fine-tune existing policies to enhance how young people respond to humanitarian challenges.
Do you foresee any specific policies that you think should be at the forefront of youth?
Maybe a few. Like policies that has to do with educating young people in terms of how to respond to emergencies, educating young people in terms of what sort of resources, what sort of technicalities are required in responding to emergencies.
Okay, thank you very much. Ane, what advice would you give to a young person considering volunteering for the first time?
It's a good question, and it's one that I actually get quite a lot in my roles with Red Cross, because there are so many challenges that are facing the world at the moment, and it can be really hard for young people to know where to start. So young people see these things, we want to take action, but often it's really, really hard when the issues are at such a large scale. And so what I always advise for young people to do is to really just think about, what are you most passionate about? What is the thing that drives you? What's the one major global issue that really, really speaks to you? And then to find a small way that you can contribute to that. So for example, when I started on climate and volunteering in kind of the climate youth space, because coming from the Pacific region, that was a topic that was really, really important to me. And it started just as small things, as finding ways that I could be involved in volunteering for climate action, in ways that I could be involved in some policy work to do with climate action, and then things just kind of grew from there. But I think the key part is just, however small, to take that first step, and then you'll sort of naturally find your way into it.
Could you tell us a bit more about how you joined and how long you've been part of the Australian Red Cross?
Yeah, sure. So I've been part of the Australian Red Cross volunteering in the youth network for about 4 years. So in Australia, we have what are called youth advisory councils, youth advisory committees, in each of our states and territories. So my first volunteering role for Red Cross was as part of that group, and we advise on lots of things. So things to do with youth programs, things to do with climate, things to do with supporting in times of emergencies and disasters, and it really just grew from there. And of course now I work across the broad spectrum of youth programming in what we do, but it really just also led me to discovering that I have a real passion for that, and it's been a really, really rewarding opportunity.
Thank you very much. Amin, how do you think youth volunteering today differs from when you first started? And what changes do you foresee for youth involvement in humanitarian efforts in the future?
For me, I'll talk based on the context of what happens in Africa. Today, I think what has changed with youth volunteering is, I think it has recently now a bit more incentivized. And from when we started, it was more of a core voluntary service, right? Where when you're going to offer service, you're going to offer purely service because you want to volunteer to offer service. So now these incentives now encourage more what I call commercial volunteers to now come to the scene, and now the actual volunteering spirit is losing its actual value. And in future, I would wish that when younger people of now who came into the system the same way I came, with the spirit and mind to volunteer, when they get to leadership positions, to try to see how we can work on the quality of membership that we recruit into, especially the Red Cross Red Crescent movements, and see how we can sort of tune down the incentives on volunteers, and let volunteers be volunteers, and let staff be staff.
Very good. So what would you say about when you say let volunteers be volunteers, let staff be staff? Could you get more into the specifics of what you think could be implemented?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of being specific, what I mean by let volunteers be volunteers is when people are coming to volunteer, let them come with a mindset of coming to offer service without expecting anything in return. And let staff be staff means a staff is expected to earn salaries. So a staff is a staff, and a staff is expected to be paid salaries for rendering his duties or for doing his job. And a volunteer is not expected to have anything, but if anything comes in form of incentive, it should be accepted with the mind of, it's not exactly should be seen as a reward for labor. You know, it shouldn't be seen as a reward for labor because the labor was done for free. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anne, how do you think volunteering today differs from when you first started?
I think it's vastly different. And I think there's also a lot of ways that we can make it even more flexible and welcoming to youth. I think one of the main things that I think about is the flexibility that's offered now with volunteering. Back when I started, things were a bit more rigid in terms of, you had meetings at a scheduled time, you volunteered a certain amount of hours. But I think with young people and doing, different kinds of jobs in the gig economy or, working maybe multiple jobs, studying, family commitments, that flexibility is really important so that we can have people from all walks of life to volunteer as youth leaders in our movement. And I think that's been one thing that's really changed over the time I've been there, which is I think really exciting to see, is that flexibility. And I think as we enter into even more of a digital age than what we're already in, I think we'll see that kind of continue with new ways of volunteering and new approaches. I think one of the great things about youth networks right around the world is this innovation that we see with young people. And I think that really carries into how we volunteer because honestly, the projects sometimes are so innovative that young people come up with that you can't, volunteer in the same way that you could before because the project just is so different. And I think that's something that's really amazing because it really puts young people in the driving seat of humanitarian action in so many different ways. And I think when we kind of look at that trend over the next 5, 10, 15 years, I think that's really exciting.
Very interesting. So you mentioned innovations. I'm guessing we're also talking about social media. Do you feel that there should be a different way of how we communicate with youth on social media?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, to be honest, no country around the world is the same. I think what works in one context might not work in a different context. But I think the amazing thing about our youth network and our youth movement as young people is that we are in so many different countries around the world. We have youth networks, youth presidents, youth chairs in each of the different countries. And so I think the amazing thing is that if we tap into those networks and really rely on local expertise, then I think our projects and our outreach to young people will always be the most effective.
Thank you. Could you tell us a little bit why you're here? What is this youth forum about?
So the youth forum is one of the major events for us, and it's very important for us, the young people, ahead of the General Assembly and Council of Delegates. It's a forum for us to sit down as young people, discuss documents like our youth engagement strategy document, and really look into it, analyze the document, agree, disagree, and also project for the future, some of the things we need to impute in the future. And also we owe it a generational responsibility to prepare the grounds for the generation coming after us, and we have failed as a generation if we fail to do that. So it's more of us coming together as a generation and really looking into how we work, how we respond to emergencies, what are the principles that guide how we respond to emergencies as young people, what are the principles that guide our leadership as young people, what are the principles that bring us together as young people. So these are really the points of us coming together for this youth forum, and also getting a space to meet people physically. We've met, so many of us have met on different platforms online before. It's now an avenue for us to meet physically, to foster partnerships and look into how we can also engage in interregional partnerships aimed at development.
And I guess you've already had a first session this morning. Could you tell us a little bit about what you felt was something that you might take back with you?
Yeah. So from the first session really proved that the movement is, the first session I'll say really shows that there is intergenerational relationship, because we were able to freely converse with the IFRC Secretary General. We're also able to converse with the President, where we asked questions and we raised points of concern, and these questions were treated and handled. So that way we were able to also do some reflections jointly with these leaders and see also from their perspective why they were unable to do certain things or why they took certain actions. And for us as young leaders, it also further builds and develops our capacities to lead those that we lead. in our respective communities.
Thank you very much. I mean, Anne, what else is there today that you'll be going to?
Great question. So this afternoon we have one more session, which is a really important one for us as youth in the movement, where we'll hear from all the candidates for the Youth Commission. So the Youth Commission is one of the main ways in which we as young people in our movement make our voices heard. So there's, for those who aren't familiar, there's 2 representatives from each of the statutory regions, as well as a chairperson. And so it'll be really exciting to hear from the 19 candidates who are up for election about their passion, their commitments and their vision for the world.
Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you very much, Amin. Thanks for sharing these valuable insights, and also it was great to find out a little bit more about the Youth Forum here in Geneva. As I wrap up this session, we hope these discussions have inspired more young people to step forward and contribute to shaping a better future. Remember, every action, big or small, makes a difference. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. Stay connected, stay engaged, and continue making an impact in your community. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.